When my husband left for a year-long overseas assignment, we promised each other that distance wouldn't change what we had. I believed him, and I wanted to believe myself too. The first month, we spoke every night, sent voice notes, and shared pictures of our day. But as time passed, the calls grew shorter, the silences longer. He was busy, always tired, and our conversations felt like updates between colleagues rather than the intimate exchanges of a married couple. It was during one of those lonely afternoons that I first ran into Armin, his nephew, at the grocery store. He was in his mid-20s, charming in that effortlessly disarming way, and he reminded me so much of my husband when we had first met, playful, attentive, and curious about me. We chatted briefly, nothing inappropriate. But that night, for the first time in weeks, I smiled before falling asleep. Armin started dropping by more often, under the pretense of helping me with household errands. We'd share tea on the balcony, talking about music, travel, and life. There was an ease to him, a way of making me feel seen and heard in a way I hadn't felt in months. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself I just missed companionship. The first time he touched my hand, it was accidental, or at least that's what I told myself. But I didn't pull away. His presence became addictive. Days felt less empty, and nights were filled with the guilt of knowing I was finding joy in someone I should have kept at a distance. I convinced myself we hadn't crossed the line, yet. But emotional attachment is a quiet thief. One evening, after a long conversation about how disconnected we both felt in our lives, he kissed me. It wasn't passionate, it was slow, almost hesitant, but it was enough to shatter the boundary I had been clinging to. We didn't sleep together that night. We didn't have to. The betrayal was already alive in my heart. I didn't tell my husband. I told myself it would end when he returned. And it did, or at least the physical part did. But my marriage was never the same. I could no longer pretend that what happened was only about desire. It was about the deep human need to feel understood, valued, and connected, and how easily that need can lead you into a place you swore you'd never go. When a marriage is separated by miles and months, loneliness doesn't arrive with loud footsteps, it creeps in quietly, unnoticed at first. In the beginning, you tell yourself you're fine. You fill the days with routines, phone calls, and promises. But over time, the absence takes on a physical weight. It's in the empty chair at the dinner table, in the untouched side of the bed, in the way your laughter feels smaller because there's no one there to share it. At first, you fight it. You distract yourself with errands, with friends, with hobbies you didn't have time for before. But nothing truly replaces the comfort of the one person who knows your silences as well as your words. What makes this kind of loneliness dangerous is that it doesn't always feel like pain, it feels like hunger. A hunger not just for physical closeness, but for the smallest moments of intimacy, the casual brush of a hand, a shared joke, the security of being someone's first thought in the morning and last thought before sleep. You begin to realize how much of your identity was wrapped in being seen by that person, and without them, there's a hollow space where you used to feel whole. This is the point where vulnerability takes root. It's not that you're actively looking for someone to fill the void, but the void itself becomes an invitation. A familiar face, a warm voice, even a small act of kindness can pierce through the dull ache of solitude and feel like sunlight breaking into a dark room. And when that connection comes from someone within your extended circle, someone you already know and trust, it doesn't immediately feel like danger. It feels like comfort. But comfort, in this fragile state, can be intoxicating. You start to anticipate their messages, to look forward to those brief conversations that remind you of how alive it feels to be noticed. You rationalize the growing closeness because it seems innocent, after all, they're family, or a friend, or just helping out. Yet, somewhere in your heart, you know that you're allowing a new bond to grow in the cracks left by your partner's absence. And loneliness rarely stays still. It evolves. It shifts from a quiet ache into a craving, from craving into dependency. Before you realize it, you're measuring your days by the moments of connection you have with this new person, and the absence of your spouse stops being the only emptiness you feel. A part of you begins to guard this growing attachment, protecting it as though it's the one thing keeping you afloat. That's when the line between loyalty and longing starts to blur, and you're left wondering if you've already crossed it without even noticing. When the comfort of someone's presence begins to feel like a lifeline, the mind plays a dangerous game of justification. You tell yourself that it's just companionship, that it's nothing compared to the bond you share with your spouse. But the truth is, emotional connections are far more dangerous than fleeting moments of physical attraction. They run deeper, take root in places you didn't know were vulnerable, and grow in silence until they are too tangled to easily undo. What starts as a shared laugh over tea, or a comforting hand on your shoulder, begins to carry weight. Those moments replay in your mind when you're alone, and without realizing it, they start replacing the memories of your partner. The real danger lies in how harmless it all feels at the start. A conversation about your day turns into a conversation about your dreams, your fears, the things you've never told anyone else, not even your spouse. You find yourself sharing pieces of your life that you used to reserve for the person you